Okay, today is April 16th, and here we have the seedlings. You can see the peppers over there looking really good. Everything's doing pretty good except for the tomatoes, and I'll talk about those in a second. But I actually went on a trip to New York this week, and I was absolutely terrified because I had to leave all of these behind. I was terrified they were going to be dead when I got home. But everything actually looks really good. The plants looked better when I was gone for a few days than when I'm out here tending to them every day. So the peppers here, while I was gone, I had to keep these in the house with a light fixture above them, 2 shop lights above them, and we had it set on an automatic timer for 12 hours, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. while we were gone. I filled the bottom tray up with water, made sure they had water in their little cups, and they did good. I didn't have enough lights for the tomatoes and flowers and everything. I only have 2 lights, and they had to go because these guys are so big. They had to go to the peppers. So I had to keep all of this stuff out in the greenhouse, and there was a couple nights while we were gone, it got down to about 31 degrees. And also during the day, this is like the worst time of year for plants. During the day, it was up in the 80s, and at night it would be like in the 30s. So I had to make sure these guys were watered, keep them in the greenhouse with the zip-up door cracked so that they didn't freeze at night, but then they also didn't bake during the day, and then make sure they had enough water, but not too much water so that they didn't rot. Yeah, very complicated. I was very worried, so very relieved that everything looks nice. But the peppers are doing great. The serrano, actually, if you can see that, has a little pepper on it. 2, in fact. There's another little pepper over here. See that? The bell pepper has some flowers on it. Puma pepper. You can see those flowers and buds. So these guys are way ahead of time. We're probably going to have peppers now in probably June, May, June, and July instead of just August and September and October like usual. But yeah, those guys are doing great. The coneflower here, I got this at a nursery. I haven't put it in the ground yet. I'm going to wait until we're past our frost date, which is April 29th, I believe. I still do wait a little while to put everything out into the garden because we always could, that's just an estimated date. We could always have, a random frost come after that. And then we have the salvia here in this winter sowing greenhouse milk jug that I made. Those guys are looking really good. I'm so glad that that's the foxglove in this one. This method worked really, really good. I'm so happy about this because now I know I can start a ton of like perennial flowers and stuff like that. Cold weather tolerant plants in jugs like this, and they'll do great. So here is a little experiment I did. This is foxglove, and this plant is a foxglove. So this one was grown in the house under a grow light system, and this one was just put in the jug, taped up. I sprinkled the seeds on some moist potting soil, didn't water it, and they all came up. So of course this way here is faster, but it takes up space. You need lights. You have to take it in and out. It's not acclimated to the weather and the UV rays of the sun. But these guys, even though they're pretty far behind, it's way less maintenance, way less room in the house. Doesn't need grow lights, any of that stuff. So I just wanted to do this and see how they turned out. See if I could get them a little bit ahead so that they would bloom this year. I don't know if this variety will. Foxgloves, most of them are biennial, which means they bloom the second year, but there are some varieties that do bloom the first year, so we'll find out. This is just, this came from a pack of seeds, both of those that I got from the big box store, so it's probably like Burpee or Ferrymore or something like that, just mixed colors of foxglove. So we'll see. I'm so glad that worked out. That'll be so easy to start tons and tons of plants. And I always know if I want to just get a head start, I can grow a bunch of flowers under the grow light too. And then we have the little tray here of, so this is a blue queen butterfly pea. There's another little seedling coming up there. I planted some other seeds around it. And then we have one hollyhock. This is the black hollyhock. Planted more seeds around that. We'll see if those come up. We have the mammoth dill here. There's 3 plants all together. There's another one popping up back there you can't see yet. And then the black-eyed Susan vine. We went to the nursery yesterday, and I saw, every year I just look at the black-eyed Susan vines in the nursery, and they're like $30. They are so expensive, but they're so beautiful. The flowers are so cool looking. I love them. Actually had white ones in there this year with a black center. But yeah, there is the black-eyed Susan vine. Most of these seeds were from botanical interests, except for the butterfly pea, which was from Baker Creek. And here is another butterfly pea seedling that I found in the tomato tray, because I had one row of butterfly peas in that, so I took it out, gave it a little bit more space. And then we have the Tulsi, which is also known as holy basil. That's doing great. We have one cucamelon back there, which is awesome. And they grow so vigorous around here. I'm probably only going to need one plant. The year that I planted them, 2021, I had like 3 or 4 plants maybe, and they just took over the whole entire trellis system in my garden. The 3 arches, the cow panel arch trellis, they just went crazy. So I'll probably only keep 1 or 2 plants of those. And then the red Reuben basil, all of those are coming up. And then I just separate out this block and plant out these seedlings when the threat of frost has passed. Then we have 2 artichokes over here. I do have 2 in the garden already. One died, but these are the 2 that are left. One's still alive out there. It doesn't look the greatest. I don't think it was acclimated properly before I put it out there in the ground. But these guys have been fully acclimated, ready to go. So I can stick these in the ground wherever. They get so big, I don't know exactly where I want to put them. I'm going to have to think about that, and pretty soon, before they start getting root bound in those cups. And then we have the flower tray. So these are all of the dahlias. We have the gazanias here in this row. There's 2 nasturtiums. These are the peach melba nasturtiums that I got from Baker Creek. 2 of those came up. Nasturtiums, I've always had problems with those germinating. I actually took the seeds this time in a new tray that I started and scraped them with a nail file a little bit, and then you're supposed to soak them in water. So we'll see if the new ones, how they do, if more of those germinate. But these 2 empty rows that you see right here, this is the calendula, and then this is the salmon nasturtium. Both rows are empty, and both of those seeds came from Baker Creek. So I don't know. The botanical interest nasturtium came up, but the Baker Creek did not. And then I just had some turnips in this row that got fried when I sat them out here. But there's one little turnip there. I'll just stick it out in the garden. And then we have the Sweet William right here. There's 3 cells of that. One little Cosmo that's just been struggling, but it's trying to grow. So I left it in the tray. And most people direct sow a lot of these, but I have such a big pest issue with bugs eating my tiny little seedlings that I just start everything in a tray now. There's the bachelor button back here. We have 3 of those. So these are the Jolly Jester marigolds. Like a really pretty dark red, dark yellow striped marigold. And then back here, now there were a bunch of white marigold, but they aren't doing so good. And I believe my cat has been out here biting the stems. So you can see this one little stem right here. It's been ripped off at the top. Yeah, I believe that is the work of my cat. So, then we have the tomatoes back there. They don't look very good. I think I planted them too early this year. I don't put my tomatoes out until March 15th, so I probably should have started them May 15th. I put them out May 15th. Our last frost is like April 29th, and I wait till about 2 weeks after that just to make absolute sure that there's no frost. So I planted these from seed on March 1st, I believe. So they just got way too big, way too quick. And when I was bringing them outside, the temperatures were way too low. And then it would get really hot. I didn't acclimate them properly. When I transplanted them into these styrofoam cups, the soil was soaking wet, which hindered their ability to take up nutrients. And you can see how rough these guys look. So I went ahead and planted, before I left for New York, a new tray of tomatoes because I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket with those and have them not produce correctly if they can't uptake the proper nutrients. I didn't know if they were going to be able to produce good tomatoes or a bunch of tomatoes. So I went ahead and started a new tray of everything. And these guys are already acclimated. They've been outside. I don't have to worry about them burning in the sun. They're already acclimated to the temperature, all of that. We have the New Hanover ground cherries. And here are 2 of the trailing nasturtiums that I got from Botanical Interest. Then we have the Senora zinnia. There's a couple rows of that. That is like the salmon coral colored nasturtium. And then the Queenie Lime Orange zinnia, which is like an orange zinnia with a green center. Those are coming up, but everything looks good in this tray. And I left a couple empty ones here in case I think of anything else that I want to plant. I'll have room to plant it. And then at the nursery the other day, I finally found my favorite coleus. So this is the chocolate covered cherry coleus. I looked for it last year but couldn't find it. This is a shade plant. At least for me, it always does way better in the shade. Every time I put them out in the sun, they just bake and they look terrible. So if you get coleus, try it in the shade, see how it does. But I love to plant these in a big pot with some creeping Jenny, like the gold lime green creeping Jenny trailing down the side of the pot. And these get huge. These things are so gorgeous and so bright and just striking, vibrant red. So I love, love, love this coleus. This is my absolute favorite. I'm going to probably keep 2 of these, maybe put 2 in the garden or give 2 away. So we'll see about that. But here are, you can tell if you watch Garden Answer, you can tell I've been watching her a lot. Because I got, for the first time ever, some Super Tunia Vista bubblegum petunias. Check those out. So these are mounding and trailing. there's a helicopter. But these plants right here are so gorgeous, and they get huge. I've seen some people in their videos say that these plants get like 4 feet wide. They're just so huge, and if you put them in a pot, they'll trail down, they'll mound up. Just such a gorgeous flower. And I think everybody says that the Supertunia Vista bubblegum is the most like vigorous, crazy plant you can get. So I want to get 2 of these and put them in pots to flank the stairway right there on my back deck. And then we got from the nursery. I do grow most of my garden from seed, but if we see a cool tomato, we always pick it up at the nursery. This is the Brandy Boy. So if you like Brandywine tomatoes, which are notoriously hard to grow because they're so susceptible to disease and pests, if you want to grow a Brandywine, but you want it to have some of the characteristics of a hybrid in that it is more disease resistant and pest resistant, try a Brandy Boy. This will be the first time we've ever tried it this year, but we want to see how it holds up to the pest and the disease pressure that we have around here. It does get pretty humid. We have a ton of pests. Hornworms, stink bugs, you name it, we probably have it in the garden. So really interested to see how this does. And also, of course, how it tastes. So this year I'm definitely going to do a taste test of everything. And then for the first time last year, we grew a sun gold tomato. I always forget to get the seeds. They actually have the seeds at Botanical Interests, and I don't know why I didn't order them. Maybe they were sold out. But we went ahead and picked up 2 from the nursery. These are the sun golds. This is probably the most popular, most loved cherry tomato. If you ask anybody who gardens and they grow tomatoes and they like cherry tomatoes, they will know what a sun gold is. It is actually the sweetest cherry tomato that we've ever had. Now, at the beginning of the year last year, I wasn't too impressed with the flavor, but as the season went on and it got hotter and just later in the growing season, these got really, really sweet. I mean, they just taste like you're biting into just sugar water. No acidity, not really a tomato flavor. I mean, this just tastes like you're biting into a literal piece of sweet fruit. So we really loved those. There's actually a little baby one right there at the bottom. So hopefully that's another sun gold. We'll have 3 of them. You can actually take the suckers. We already pulled the sucker stems off of the tomato, but you can take your sucker stems and root those in the ground if you want to have a clone of a certain tomato. I've done that before a couple times. But yeah, this is the little update, and I will do another video in about a week or when I get some of this stuff planted out in the garden.